Hey, Sean with Caffewerks, and today we're going to be doing an install video for the Caffewerks High Volume Water Pump System Complete Cart Components Kit. So this kit will have everything you need to install a pitcher rinser and an espresso machine. This is intended for mobile cart use or anywhere where you need pressurized water for serving beverages off-grid. So inside your box you'll find your water pump system. Our high volume system sitting here is a 3.2 gallon per minute pump with a large 2-gallon accumulator. This accumulator is going to keep you powered for consistent espresso extraction, as well as have some water on standby for using that pitcher rinser without having your pump kick on every time you go to use it. So inside the box will be your water pump system, 2 install kits, and a pickup tube. Our pickup tube here is intended for a 5-gallon water bottle. And the 2 install kits will be your pitcher rinser install kit and an espresso machine install kit. So today we're going to be looking at setting up this San Remo U that's right next to me, and we're going to be running a dual stage water filter in line before the espresso machine to protect the internals of your espresso machine, as well as providing good tasting water for your espresso. The dual stage filter panel here uses 6-inch filters, one a coarse filter and one a fine carbon filter. So let's get started. Thing to note here is that I'm going to be installing everything on the countertop. Most likely, you will be installing it inside of a cart or behind a bar, running your lines to your devices, securing them in place, etc. So with any of our water pump systems, they all work off of bottled water. Or a fresh water container. In this case, we are utilizing a 5-gallon water bottle jug down on the floor. So what we're first going to do is run our pickup tube into the pump. So we'll take our pickup tube, go ahead and open that up out of its plastic housing. So go ahead and open up your espresso machine install kit. Inside is a tubing cutter, as well as about 6 feet of beverage tubing. So to start here, into your pickup tube, tubing just gets firmly pressed into place. There is included locking clips here. Go ahead and pull one of those out, and it just snaps behind the collar of your press fit. So your pickup tube back down into that fresh water container. And then we're going to take a length of tubing up into the inlet of your pump. In this case, again, we're up at the tabletop. All of the cuttings here, you'll want to use your included tubing cutter. And we're just trying to make sure that the cut is clean and square. There's O-rings inside our fittings that are actually sealing against the side of the tubing here. So having a square cut just ensures that those O-rings can properly seal. And push that into the inlet side. When setting up the water pump system, we're going to first run off to our pitcher rinser. This is going to allow us to purge any air from the system before we move into installing the espresso machine by way of the dual stage filter panel. So in your pitcher rinser kit is more of the same tubing, locking clips, and then fittings more particular for your pitcher rinser. So on the output side of your pump, you're going to want to run a length of tubing, locking clip, easy to work as we go, and run that over towards your pitcher rinser. So I want to give a good length of tube to work with, but we are going to install an on-off and a check valve on the way over there prior to getting to your pitcher rinser. Alright, so all these fittings again, push fit. I like to do about 3 to 4 inches of tubing in between fittings. Just gives you enough to work with. Once again, all of these fittings can make use of these locking clips. These locking clips just ensure that the vibration of the pump or the moving of your cart, none of this stuff shakes loose. In the pitcher insert install kit bag will be this elbow fitting. It is a 1/2 inch BSP. There is a silicone gasket that nestles into the bottom of that fitting. Make sure that's in place. On our demo cart here, we've already run drains from both the espresso machine and intended for the pitcher insert down into a wastewater container. Underneath, we're going to thread on that elbow fitting. And that silicone seal is very soft and makes a pretty positive seal without too much tightening. So you don't even really need to put a tool on it there. Then we're going to run our blue hose for our tabletop stand here, and we're going to push it firmly into that fitting. And once again, a locking clip on the back side. Drain tube on there. Water has somewhere to go. So prior to turning everything on here, we are going to tee in off to our espresso machine. So just cut that line open, tee here, push fits into place. We'll open our fittings from the espresso machine install kit. Inside will be another on-off valve, check valve, and then 3 fittings you might need to install your espresso machine. There's a 3/8 BSP fitting, a 9/16 UNEF, and a 1/4 inch BSP fitting. I know that my San Remo U is going to make use of this 3/8 BSP fitting, so I'll set these other 2 to the side. So cutting some length of tubing here again. Locking clips in place on all these fittings. And the end here we're running off to our espresso machine is first going to run through this dual stage water filtration system. So I'm going to go ahead and make those connections, but I will turn off the valve. So water doesn't flow there quite yet. We're going to first purge the system, make sure things are working with your pitcher insert. But I will make those connections onto the dual stage filter panel. Tubing on the output. So for the time being, we have our input from our fresh water up to the intake of the pump. Pump runs out to our accumulator, tees off into our fresh water line. We only want to run the filtered water to the espresso machine, So part of this tee for the unfiltered water goes right to our rinser. And then we've teed off to our dual stage filtration system. So we have an on-off check leading to the filter. I'm going to go ahead and put another on-off at the end so we can properly purge the air out of those filters, as well as any filter media that comes off the carbon filter. Whenever you're setting up new filters, it's always recommended to run at least ½ inch to a gallon of water out of that to flush that filter media. On the end of that, we're going to put our 3/8 BSP fitting and go ahead and put locking clips on all those collars that need them. So we're just going to put the espresso machine connection off to the side. We're going to initialize the setup by turning it on, activating our pitch rinser here, giving the water somewhere to flow, and allowing all the air that's trapped inside the system to be removed. So I have a cup here to activate my pitch rinser. I'll plug into my pump system. Supply power. So the pump's kicking on. Very quickly you can see it's running water. Once you see just water leaving the pitch rinser, go ahead and stop activating your rinser and allow the system to fully pressurize with water. So inside this accumulator is an air bladder, and that's what's pushing up against the body of water, providing downline pressure. The accumulator is handy for keeping your pump from cycling on and off for things like sinks and pitch rinsers, but is also necessary for your espresso machine to make sure the pump doesn't kick on during your espresso extraction, creating an unwanted peak in your flow of water. So now that that's come up to pressure, there's about 60 psi in there, we're going to look at installing the espresso machine. So the first thing we're going to do, we got all that our lines installed here. We're going to utilize our pitch rinser as a bit of a drain tray. So I have an on-off before and after our dual stage filter. So I'll go ahead and turn on the water to the filter system. It's going to start filling that full of water, and then I'm going to slowly release the air from the filter panel here and allow it just to drain into the pitch rinser drain pan. So as I mentioned earlier, that charcoal filter will let loose charcoal filter media. And we want to make sure that we rinse all of that out of the system before it gets to your espresso machine. So once the water starts running clear out of your dual stage filter in ½ gallon to about a gallon of water, you can turn that off, and then we can go ahead and make the connection to our espresso machine. So your espresso machine will come with a braided steel hose line, and that's what we're going to run our connection into. So that will need to be installed underneath your espresso machine. We've already done so here. And this connection made right here. So I'm going to make use of knife X pliers to the plastic fitting. Just keeps it from stripping out. And then an adjustable wrench on the metal side. Doesn't need to be crazy tight, just enough to ensure a positive seal. So with that, connection to your espresso machine is made. You're going to want to turn on the flow of water and then turn on your machine. So make sure that our machine's plugged in. Turn on the flow of water. the machine on. This machine has previously been set up in our shop. If you have a brand new machine, you'll hear the machine to start fill with water. And then when it is able, you're going to want to open up the group head to remove any air out of the internals of the espresso machine before it has a chance to warm up. So those boilers will kick on, and you want to make sure that there's plenty of water in the system so it has something to heat. So run that group head until you start seeing just water come out. Might be a little bit of air in ours just from the lines here. Looks like everything is running smoothly. And with that, that's your initial startup guide for a Caffewerks high volume complete cart component system. A few common add-ons that people often get with their complete cart components kit are a purge valve or a dual pickup tube connection kit. So both these are going to be helpful if you're finding yourself going through a lot of water during your service. The dual pickup tube connection allows you to run multiple water jugs. And the purge valve kit comes in handy if you're running your water jugs so low that the system starts pulling air into the water pump. This will allow you to remove that air before it reaches your equipment, like your espresso machine. Lastly, we do also offer quick connects onto our 3/8 beverage tubing, and these can be run inline to any piece of equipment that you want to quickly be able to connect and disconnect. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions when you're hooking up your system, definitely reach out to us, info@caffewerks.com. Thanks so much for watching, like and subscribe.